Hello and thanks for staying with us. Welcome to Political Platform on Raypower FM. My name is Amici Anapwe. Chuks Onwoka joins me today. Thank you so much for joining us today, Chuks.
Yeah, great to be here, Amici. So much is happening in the world of politics, and we're getting ready to dive into it. And good morning to our viewers and listeners as well.
So 2027, less than a year away. First elections, the presidential and National Assembly to hold January, that of the governorship and state houses of assembly will hold in February, just a few weeks apart. But the atmosphere is getting more intense. You can feel the air that indeed political parties are strategizing, re-strategizing, doing horse trading, mapping out plans and strategies, or strategies first, plans, because strategy is long-term, plan is the specific steps you take to achieve your objectives. I will be sharing with you today. Of course, the ADC protested in Abuja yesterday, and one thing, Chuks, that people notice about that protest, the leaders of the party, the opposition leaders, holding a banner, a long banner together as they marched. It was similar to what the APC did when they protested against the Goodluck Jonathan administration in 2014. All of them who are in government today, except a few. Okay, you can say Chibika Amechi was one of them, but still in the opposition today. So he held part of those that held the banner in 2014 and part of those that held the banner in 2026. Apart from him, all the others are part of government. Arebe Shaloke maybe didn't hold, but he was a key member of the opposition party. But the likes of Atiku Abubakar, who also held the banner then. Maybe more of them were involved. Yeah. Only a few of them. David Mark, Peter Obi were out of it. Kwakwasa was in APC, but I don't know whether he was part of that protest.
Well, that protest, as you mentioned, the APC, did. I think I remember where I was when I watched that protest. About to enter university, preparing for university. I was in my father's sitting room watching it alongside him and my mother. I remember, what happened during that period. And yesterday it happened here in the FCT, marching against INEC, marching against, the APC government as well. That's coming from the ADC. And they were playing the old national anthem as a sign of protest as well to the new one and all of that, just putting a bit of significance, to that. But the key thing from them is the issue with INEC, deregistering their leadership. So it has put them in a very tight spot ahead of the 2027 elections. The time is running out on them, to be honest, for their convention. If they are going to go ahead with the convention, credibility to that convention will be an issue because, there's no leadership, which they've been saying they will go ahead with, but I don't know how they're going to do it. Are they going to go to the court to ask the court for accelerated hearing on the issues before the court? And, well, there are suggestions of how they should just be able to bring back everyone who's aggrieved, into the fold. Probably if they want to run for positions,
give them Matthew, the gentleman that went to court, there were reports that they were trying to reach out to him. First, 2 days ago, it was Rabbi Musa Pomposa that said they were supposed to meet in his Cano residence. He waited patiently, the man didn't show up. And he sent out a message to those that know him that they should advise him and speak to him to really understand the situation. There were also reports yesterday that he was going to be part of the meeting with ADC leaders yesterday. It didn't happen, but we saw ADC leaders meet with PDP group led by Taminu Turaki.
Yes, and that's a very significant one. And according to the papers this morning, there's been a bit of struggle fight between the PDP, that's the Wike side, who are currently, in charge of the party, and then the Turaki faction of the PDP. Now they said it's just it's just a support, moral support, for what's happening. Not like they are totally aligning, with the ADC. But this also comes with the rumors of the meeting that happened in the past between Seyi Makinde and Atiku Abubakar, where there were rumors of different deals, being made for whoever will get, the candidacy ticket for the ADC. But nothing of that sort came up on that meeting, though. Details and all. But for that faction, it looks like they are tilting towards the ADC because they probably do not have a hold, on the PDP. And we've from the actions of the FCT minister, where he's aligned with already going into the 2027 elections. He has said it, many times with the president. So he's aligned with the president, and that's talking about Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So I think the Seyi Makinde angle they're looking at, okay, since one party is with the APC, then we have our next best option and probably an avenue, an area, a faction that would support us, which is talking about the ADC. But the key thing for the ADC is these issues, I think they need to sort it out as soon as possible internally, which we know by law.
How would they
sorting out? How can they reach out to those who have taken them to court? Yes,
drag them to court, and except again the court would that's at the High Court, not even at the Appellate Court. Carry out a expedited hearing of the matter and give a judgment that will be in their favor. If not, they have to look for alternative platform. But one thing that is happening now, which you have recounted, is the parties are aligning, seeking for alliances. It's natural. You can't go it all alone. In war, U.S. president was looking for allies. Iran was going after allies of US and other, even though it has its own silent allies, the likes of Russia and China that were not so openly involved in the war in the Gulf War. So it tells you that these are normal things you see in politics. It's all about setting the structures in place, putting the structures in place. It's either you get a movement, you could say, the obedient movement, the Kwankwasia movement. Buhari operated not in a movement organized manner, but the supporters are always there with him. He didn't quite operate a real movement as what we are seeing today in terms of obedience and the Kwankwasia group. So when you have a movement, you have so much value to bring in. You have negotiations, you have value that you can be negotiated for. If you're a prominent politician, what is happening now? If you're an elected public officer, you add value. It's part of the structure. For instance, in Bauchi State, Governor Bala Mohammed is still thinking about whether to make it APC or PDP with or ADC or APC with high-level meeting of the leadership visiting him. He's still undecided. In Cano, after the APC governorship candidate in the last election joined the ADC, the APC targeted Shekara, former governor. They're almost getting him, not certain yet. But for another former governor, Gaya, for Senator Gaya, he has moved over to the ADC. No, he has not moved, but he has resigned from the APC. So across is that struggle for come over to our side. That explains what happened in Abuja when the PDP group led by Taminu Turaki, Seyi Makinde held a meeting with the ADC leadership, David Mark's private residence in Abuja. It has become a maker of a sort. Perhaps the ADC can go to their national headquarters now. I don't know. But the protest ADC carried out yesterday originated from David Mark's residence. He turned 78 yesterday. He observed his birthday there. The meeting with the Seyi Makinde PDP group met there with ADC officials. So in the days, weeks, months to come, perhaps not even months, weeks, because by May 2nd, if you're not in any party, then you're not going to be part of that party for the next election. That's what the electoral law says.
Yes, and that is that should be a huge concern of everybody in the ADC that is interested in any office in 2027, being the presidency, being governorship, or whatever. And it is also key for the ADC because before this issue came up, we've not really known what angle they were going to align with. Were they going to continue with the southern, candidacy, which the PDP agreed to do, what they were going to do different as well compared to the APC. I think they've not been able to project that to Nigerians in full force, probably because of the issues they've been facing. A lot of people have also accused them of being architects of their own destruction or downfall, whatever way you want to put it, saying they should have started a new party afresh. But some of them have come out to say, we tried to register a new party, it didn't work, so the next best option was to go into another party. But for the ADC, time is actually ticking on their plans to be a good opposition going into the 2027 elections, and they are looking at every means. The call for resignation for the INEC chairman, I don't think that will fall on any. I think that will fall on deaf ears. I don't think
they have had their say.
Yes, the INEC chairman will do anything on that one. So the next best option for the ADC is how to get those cases out of court and rulings to favor them. But I think for the courts as well, they put us in this situation with open-ended, pronounced judgments. Yes, saying go back to status quo. What is actually the status quo? Now, INEC, I think, also probably should have also sought a clear understanding from the courts. ADC as well is trying to seek a clear understanding. That's another step they should take. So I think going forward, our judges should be able to break down their ruling so that the average person can understand, and one party doesn't have an understanding, another party has an understanding.
Based on that, it appears the judiciary is being clever by half. They will give pronouncements that will confuse all the parties, including Nigerians.
Yeah.
We have cases where the Supreme Court will make a determination. The case travels back to the High Court.
Yes.
Labour Party matter, for instance. PDP matter, for instance. The matter gets to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court makes a pronouncement. The two parties will interpret it differently, the way it suits them. The general public will interpret it differently, the way it suits you, or the way you understand it. The matter gets back to the High Court. The High Court will make a clarification on the Supreme Court judgment. And the Abure Labour Party matter has gotten to the Appeal Court again.
Yes.
And it will end up in the Supreme Court for the second time. So I wonder what the Supreme Court will say when it gets there. Part of what people are saying is that these are gimmicks to cause confusion within the political parties, and that the judiciary is lending itself. Now, that's the accusation. The judiciary has always denied this. But you made a right call to the judiciary. There's a word we call put your feet down.
Yes.
When you make, we should know where you stand. We should know where you stand.
Yes.
You don't make a pronouncement to confuse everybody.
Yes, this morning.
When you do it, it smacks of some. I'm trying to just go ahead.
Yeah, this morning on Kakaki during the newspaper review, I asked one of the reviewers that if we already have a law that says, leadership matters of the party are internal affairs, shouldn't the court at that instance already tell whoever is bringing that case that, no, you go back to your party to sort it out, since we already have laws that states that it's an internal affair, instead of putting such vague, pronouncements, initially, probably if they had done that initially, the ADC.
I understand what you're saying.
In this,
the Supreme Court have made the pronouncement that there are internal affairs of parties that shouldn't come to it.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court had also stated that the only time party matters should come to them is when it involves the process of selection of candidates for election. But some others have also said that when a party is seen to be violating its own constitution, then it has to get to the court. That's another gray area, another vague situation we need to clarify. When they were made a party to this case involving the ADC, they made an affidavit and made a representation to the court, telling the court that this is a matter that should not be within the purview of the court, that they have taken a decision, is now left for the party to resolve it. So some confusion. In what ways can the court intervene in an internal party matter? What constitutes an internal party matter? Perhaps the judiciary should, the apex court, which is the last court of the land. The Supreme Court is a court of policy. When we say court of policy, pronouncements of the Supreme Court become law. They become part of our law. They become part of our statutes. You make reference to it as a binding law. So that explains why the Supreme Court must be extremely careful when they are giving judgment. You don't give judgment that people can misinterpret. It has to be straight, as clear as the morning sun. When you wake up in the morning, you look up to the sky. What do you see? It's the sun. You don't mistake it to be the moon. So that's what the Supreme Court should do, and they should be forthright in doing it.
Yes, absolutely. And ADC once again just needs to find a solution to this problem. Nigerians need opposition. Nigeria as a country needs opposition. You know, the democracy will thrive with an opposition. And in 2027, we want to see an opposition. Let people have an option to decide. If they don't feel, you know, that the government of the day has met up with their demands when they were voted in 2023, let them have, you know, an option to vote for somebody else. Even if the government of the day wins the, you know, election with the majority of the votes, let people still have that satisfaction that, oh, okay, yes, there was a viable opposition for the 20.
And there was a fair contest.
Yes, and there was a fair
not
contest.
Just viable opposition,
a fair contest as well.
Contest, because once the contest is not fair, it brings in so much. Part of it is political instability, and we have insecurity. We have economic instability to an extent. The macroeconomic indices are to a reasonable extent stable, but the prices have not been stable. Hardship have not been stable. So if we add political instability to all this, it will not augur well. Already the US is telling non-essential staff in his embassy in Abuja to move away. It comes with grave consequences and grave implications. When I read that, I said, is the Nigerian government also reading meaning into what the US has said? Usually they come up with travel advisory. Don't go to these states. This is a fourth level state. If you are on essential service, go here. But if it's not essential, don't travel to these states of the Nigerian Federation. They listed that, but they went ahead to do what they have not done before. And I have to check. I don't know whether you have the facts. I know countries where they have asked their non-essential embassy staff to leave. When they do it, they are speaking to intelligence within their disposal, and intelligence within their disposal will always tell you something is about to happen. We cannot afford to have these people here. It could be dangerous. So if Nigerian government is reading, it sends strong signals, and to every investor, these advisories are read not by US citizens but by the whole world. The US intelligence is top notch. It's top notch. So when they say withdraw essential, it tells you that something is about to happen. So it's left for the Nigerian government to prove to us that they are in control, like they continue saying. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, yesterday during the Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, its first General Assembly, reassured the nation that everything is. The Nigerian government saying we're on top of the situation. American government telling its citizens, embassy staff, if you're not emergency, run for your dear life.
Well, it's a tough one on the nation. It's a tough one on the nation. But the government has to be really, I don't know, we like to use the word now, reactive to this, issue by the American embassy, because it doesn't tell well for anybody. Especially if something happens and the blame becomes, oh, the government did not react to it, they didn't heed warnings, and also they have to be up and doing. We've seen a whole lot that has happened just this year, when it comes to insecurity in different parts of the nation. So the Nigerian government has to do more. We have to do more. It's not just enough to talk about AI cameras in some parts. We are going to do this and that. We need to see, evidence that there's more being done. We've talked about state policing. We've talked about state policing. What's holding it back if a majority, are in support of it? So these are issues that need to be looked at and solved.
Okay, let's hear what you're saying on our mailbox. From there, we'll also share some of the things you're telling us on our YouTube page. Stay with us. Majek, you have the mails.
Yeah, good morning, and thanks for joining us on the mail segment. I am Aicheda Majekodomi. Our first mail is from Amici Obochi from Kubwa here in Abuja, who says, the National Bureau of Statistics in a recent released report revealed that the accuracy of health diagnoses in Nigeria has significantly declined under President Tinubu's administration, which is the situation with the situation reportedly worse in the Southwest. This is a deeply troubling development. However, one may ask whether such a report is even necessary to highlight what many Nigerians already experience daily. The rising number of deaths in both public and private hospitals clearly reflects the state of the healthcare system. Today, public hospitals in Nigeria appear to exist largely in name rather than in effective service delivery. Moving forward, What Nigeria needs is a comprehensive reset across all sectors, regardless of who is in power. I therefore urge President Tinubu to think Nigeria, eat Nigeria, and sleep Nigeria. And now to issue of insecurity, and Emeka Mba from Abuja says, your analysis yesterday on the festering insecurity and daily killing of innocent Nigerians suffices. Our security handlers are turning deaf ear to the use of technology which has won the war in Burkina Faso, etc., in the fight against insecurity because of corruption and in the system. Few weeks back, the Chief of Defense Staff shocked bewildered Nigerians when he rose in defense of rehabilitation and reintegration of criminals, bandits, and terrorists alike on national television, erroneously making reference to the biblical prodigal son who never killed or even hurt anyone to back up the blunder. It is not only people in position of authority that are sympathetic to the cause of criminals, but some of our laws are. For instance, if you see armed criminals forcefully enter your premises or property and you shoot them to kill with your licensed gun, in self-defense, you will end up in prison. We must change these laws that are ridiculously sympathetic to criminals instead of the victims if we are serious about fighting insecurity to win and serve as a deterrent to criminals. Also, Ugochukwu Godwin from Lagos is saying, United It has told its non-essential workers to leave Nigeria and urge its citizens not to travel to Nigeria. It's contradictory that U.S. is trying to coerce the country into establishing a military base while promising to help us sort our insecurity issues. What is the mission of U.S. military in the country? Thousands are being killed through gun violence in the U.S. where millions of Nigerians reside. I never heard our foreign ministry demand for the citizens to come back. There is more to this recent remark by the U.S. The recent upsurge of attack after the U.S. military came into the country needs to be questioned. Now, after offering help, they are requesting their citizens to leave. I encourage security agents to be in guard. We are approaching a heated election period. It's pertinent not to heat up the polity. We can't have a porous security intelligence and action at this time. And Dixon Eka from Abuja on political matters is saying, the collapsing and clamping down of all viable opposition parties in Nigeria to pave the way for a one party with a candidate that must not be challenged either in primary or general election is not just anti-democratic but worse than military dictatorship and cannot be called democracy. In Nigeria, insecurity is at the highest level. The economy and the livelihood of the people is even worse than ever. Budgets are not being used, hence contractors are not being paid. Yet the government is generating the highest revenue ever and has borrowed more than any other government ever in Nigeria. And yet the economy of the country is completely in the hands of one ethnic group, the Yorubas. In all of this, the president and his team claimed that things are working, these policies are yielding results, and the country is better, and he has captured all the governors and the National Assembly as well as the judiciary and even INEC. Nothing lasts forever. President Tinubu and his team must not kill our democracy, which many fought and died to get. They should allow participation, which is the bedrock of democracy. And that is all we can take on the mail segment this morning. Keep on sending in your mail to us at politicalplatform@dargroup.com.
Thank you so much for the mails from the electronic mail. Go to the instant YouTube account where you are dropping your comments and we are sharing them with you right away. Usman Abdullah, he says, I wonder why jail sentence for double membership of political party but no sentence for double or quadruple voters cards. Why? Well, it's only the House that has passed the bill to amend the Electoral Act to criminalize double membership of political parties. Senate yet to concur. Let's take this one from Victor Obeche, who says Senator Gaya, whose letter of resignation was dated April 5, 2026, while addressing journalists on Tuesday, confirmed his defection to the ADC. Please, gentlemen, kindly get your facts right.
Yes, I think there was even a little bit of a celebration on that, on the streets for that defection as well.
So he's confirmed he has moved to ADC. Kano is very interesting.
Yes.
They are grabbing anybody, any person with political relevance.
Yes.
Either the ADC or APC will come for you. And I say here, governorship of Kano and the presidential election in Kano, including the national and state assembly elections, will be the most controversial. Abba Yusuf will be fighting. Most likely, Gawona, the man he defeated in 2023, will come up as his candidate. What we are seeing is that since he has to the ADC and aligned with Kwankwaso, the deputy governor that resigned will now become his deputy, while indeed Yusuf will now have to rely on the APC architecture. Deputy Senate President is there. Ganduje, former APC chairman, is there. They are trying to woo, if not, they have not succeeded, Ibrahim Shekarau to also their side. Okay, you want to comment on that before we come back?
In Kano State, as you mentioned, is very interesting there. We saw not long ago that even the governor had to even do a rally after what happened with Rabiu Kwankwaso, his defection to the ADC, when crowds, flooded. Peter Obi was even almost not allowed on stage. He was being dragged and all. And the Kano governor had to come out, do his own rally, and mentioned how...
On his arrival from Abuja.
Yes, and mentioned how to show that, yes, Kano was still with him, how it was rented, crowd.
And they said it was the Kwankwasia crowd was rented.
Yes, it was rented crowd. So it just shows you that things are really, really hot in Kano political space. The Kwankwaso group cannot meet eye to eye right now. We know with Governor Abba Yusuf. But then again, when you give explanations,
just a note on that renting a crowd. It's obvious and it's a fact, except you want to look at it from a different angle. There are three personalities in Nigeria. One late now that will draw crowd without spending a penny. Not just drawing a crowd, the crowd will spend their own money on it. Muhammad Buhari, who's late now. Kwankwaso, that's the Kwankwaso movement and the obedient movement. Any other person who wants a crowd will have to pay for it. But these three persons in contemporary Nigerian time have that gift of pulling crowd without paying for it. So if you say rented, it's the opinion, but we know what the facts are, and facts are sacred.
Yes, and just to add to that, and I think that's why a lot of people have clamored for the ADC to do probably the most sensible thing, that they can't do at the moment, which is to align with Peter Obi. That's what a lot of people have said, because we've seen him in the space, since 2023.
Is that Peter Akwa that we are hearing now?
Yes, Peter Akwa that we are hearing, because we've seen him in Peter. So because he's captured, young Nigerians, their hearts. We saw it in 2023 and going into 2027. But in Kano, I just want to say that it just shows that the way it is. I think the APC has more than 31, governors right now. A lot 31. of them, seeking, second terms, because that's the party currently in power, and they look like they are playing politics, at the top of their game. That's talking about the APC, and who's led by the president. So they look like they're playing the politics well. So for governors, it will be attractive for them, but will they be able to pull their people to those parties? That's another big question, especially for states that have never had the APC ruling them up until now, till their governors defected to that party.
And J. Emmanuel says people cry one party when it's clear that other parties and other handlers are in total disarray. Instead of advising them, since they claim naivety, we are encouraging their behavior. And Matthew Kuntia says, if the opposition I saw yesterday have risen up against bad economic policies of Tinubu, many things will not have gone wrong. Too much as seen today. A lot of people, and let's reflect on this point raised by Emmanuel, that the problem of ADC is self-inflicted. Now, for those in ADC, they say it's government-induced. For those in government, they say it's self-inflicted. Now, let's start with the side of government. They said instead of forming a new party, you went to hijack an existing party. You didn't even understand the processes for how to hijack. You wrongly hijacked, and Nemesis has caught up with you. Don't blame us for your inadequacies. You didn't study. You didn't do all those that were to be settled and all that. But the opposition is saying you are behind it. They are pointing at what is happening at Labour Party, NMPP, PDP, and said they can't just be mere.
Even the SDP is having leadership problems.
Yes, that except the hand of Esau in this inside, the government is behind it. You can't have conflict, crisis in all the opposition parties at the same time. So it depends on where you're looking at it from.
Yes, it depends on your interests as it is. And with interviews from ADC members, spokesperson to David Mark on AIT and co, we've been able to understand that they've said they actually did follow the constitution of the party. These individuals did resign their position. Letters of resignation with their signatures are readily available, and there were videos on social media where these people were doing the stepping down or handing over. They were present. So how come all of a sudden they have issues with all of this? So for the ADC, as I said, just go and see how you can calm the minds of every person that has issues with the party at this point, to be able to solve them. Because if it's not done, your candidacy, running for the presidency of governorship for 2027 is really
become a pipe dream. We'll end with this note on our YouTube channel. Naja Emmanuel says people cry one party when it's clear. No, not that. It's Emmanuel Analike says, tell the governors to stop their airport sycophancy with the president too armed from his journeys. He reeks of joblessness. So it's making reference to those that will go and tell the president.
I think the letters was the Ogun State governor when the president went there and still came to Abuja. Yes, and still came to Abuja a day or two.
No, Lagos. The president is still in Lagos.
No, like when the president left, he still went to meet the president again.
Yes,
and I'm like, why
coming to Abiyokuta?
I mean, we're wasting taxpayers' money. We're wasting taxpayers'
Thank you for coming, Chooks. I'm thanking you.
Thank you for having me.
Have a nice time.